What is up, Watch fam? Happy Thursday, and welcome to this week's episode of Ask TNH Live. I'm Christian from Theo and Harris, and today we are live on Instagram answering questions from Watch Geeks. So let's do it. Okay, first, quick wristwatch check. I am wearing a vintage Cartier. It's a tank watch. It is vermeil. It's my personal watch. We list watches like this and other vintage watches that we are super passionate about in the watch shop at theoandharris.com. If you are not familiar with the stock we have currently, go on and check it out. Okay, first question. Is there a Rolex Bubble, and is it going to burst soon? And this is a great question. Everyone seems to be an expert on the Rolex Bubble and what is going to happen. So here's the answer, and I'm gonna do it quickly. You can't say, is there a Rolex Bubble? There are too many segments within Rolex to make a statement about a Rolex Bubble. There are, micro segments. There are segments within the Rolex, market that I think are vastly or grossly overpriced. Right? I think that there will come a time when small differences being underlines or Bart Simpson crowns or eagle beaks or all these things on Submariners, although still appreciated and although still demand a premium, do not demand the premium that they do and might even climb up to in the near future. What does that mean? A great Submariner, a truly great vintage Submariner can be had, and I mean great. I mean exceptional. Top quality references that that are historically valued and thought of as significant. I don't just mean a great sub that I would wear, I would love. A real collector's sub you can get for in the $10,000 to $15,000 range. Okay, I don't think that if $10,000 to $15,000 is that is an entry level to great watches, that 150 or 180 or 220 or 290 is sustainable. I think that the gap is too big, and inevitably people will stop caring about those premiums, and some very rich people will take some very big baths. Same thing may go for the Paul Newman market, the Rolex Daytonas with the exotic dials. It may go for a couple of different markets. But on the opposite end, there are other models like the Milgauss, for example, that I think have a lot of room to grow and have not reached their peak. Then you have the bulk of the vintage Rolex market, which I look at as day dates and date justs, and many now like neo vintage Explorers 2s and things like that, that are nowhere near where they will be or have to be. Take the Datejust, for example. Datejust is the watch that you're a pretty good looking guy, but you look very ugly from this angle. Thank you very much. The Datejust, for example, is a watch that I am very passionate about. It's a watch that I've gone out of my way to become very educated on and to really, become kind of an authority in this, small Rolex market, okay, of dress Rolexes. If a vintage Datejust, okay, is trading at $3,500, which is where a lot of the the median kind of falls here. The average of these watches kinds of falls. You wonder, how high can it go before there will be a collapse? Okay, and I put the point of reference on one, the rest of the vintage Rolex market, and two, the modern Rolex market. If a modern Datejust, okay, a Datejust that you can buy at any time of the week, a Datejust that has less poetic value, a Datejust that isn't collectible, a Datejust that there is no variation in price, it is just a retail price, right? It's a new model, is trading in the 8s or 9s or 10s or 11s. This $3,500 watch that again has all of these other collectible kind of variables and assets going for it, at 35, the gap is too big. The same way I said the gap was too big on the Submariner, the gap is too big, but on the opposite side with the Datejust. Okay, I think that Datejust will climb up and reach a ridiculous number one day. I think that Datejust can inevitably trade in the $7,000 and $8,000 and $9,000 range, and I think that's a little bit much. But that's just where it's going to go. That's what's going to happen. The question is, when does it burst, and what is the equilibrium price? When does it burst? When the watches are no longer cool, which is kind of never. When does it burst? When there are more of the watches themselves than people that want them. That is ultimately, simply what happens. And I don't see this happening anytime soon, especially because in the vintage world, a date just isn't just a date just. You take in consideration condition and different variations and different dials that separate these worlds totally. One date just market could collapse in 5 years, and another one could be skyrocketing. And that's just how it is. Wide boys could be 30–40% more expensive than standard date just. It's a very nuanced world, and ultimately people love to oversimplify whether or not there's going to be a burst in vintage Rolex. And the answer is yes. In some micro markets, there will be a burst, and a lot of people will lose a lot of money. But for everyone else, for 95% of the people that are owning these things, there's nothing to be worried about at all. Really good question. I've attacked this question before. I'll repeat. What do I prefer, the new Cartier Santos or the new Cartier Drive Ultra Slim? I say, without question, no hesitation, I like the Cartier Drive better. Why? I think that the Cartier Drive is the first time ever, and there are great Cartiers out there. There are some cool sports Cartiers. I think the Roadster is a really cool watch in many ways. There are wonderful watches out there. But I think that the Drive is the first time ever that Cartier has actually executed perfectly their idea of a sports watch. The Santos is a cool piece. I like it a lot. It's an irreplaceable part of the Cartier history. And it is very sporty. It is very 80s, whether in solid yellow gold or in two-tone, doesn't matter. It's a very sporty watch. But it is in many ways very disconnected from the Cartier kind of thought process, that being fundamental design elements, often leather straps, and if metal straps, then ultra fine metal straps, and usually in solid precious metals. The Drive is the first time that Cartier has been able to introduce something that makes perfect sense within their brand, within the historical kind of, values of their brand, while still being a sports watch. It's in steel, but it's ultra slim. It's big, but it's on a leather strap. Everything about the watch represents, I think, just a really well thought out balance between sport and traditional, values of Cartier. So, which watch do I like more? I don't know. I have a feeling it's the Drive, but ultimately the Drive is the one that to me is more of an impressive release by Cartier. It shows more understanding of their own brand, and I find that very impressive. Okay, question. I know you're a vintage guy, but what modern Rolex do you like the most? And it's a great question. The most is hard because there's no price point. It would be cool to own a platinum Daytona, even if just for a little while. It would be kind of cool, but the watch nears $100,000. I like gold watches. It'd be cool to own, a new yellow gold date 8 with a lapis dial. It'd be really nice, or the green dials or anything like that. But dollar for dollar, the Oyster Perpetuals, 39 millimeters, I believe, are some of the best watches out there. They come in blue. I think blue is my favorite color. They come in rhodium. They come in white and black now. These are watches that are almost never inappropriate or unsuitable for an occasion. They are ultra dynamic. I mean, they're just never out of place. They're never out of place. And you're talking about sub $6,000. Talking about owning them in the fives, which doesn't seem to be Rolex money, but it is. That's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching this episode of Ask TNH Live. If you liked it, please don't forget to like the video and subscribe to our channel at Theo and Harris if you love watches. I'll see you all tomorrow.